Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into the absolute chaos that unfolded at St. James's Park, I have a quick request for the best football community on YouTube. Please drop your name and the city you're watching from in the comments below. I want to know who is with us today. Also, if you believe Newcastle can still turn this around, or if you're just a massive football fan, smash that like button right now. It really helps the channel reach more fans like you. Now, let's get into it. What on earth is happening at Newcastle United? A 3-2 defeat at home to Everton has left the fans stunned and the critics sharpening their knives. It wasn't just a loss, it was a total collapse of everything Eddie Howe has built over the last 2 years. The Magpies twice came from behind to level the game through Jacob Ramsey and Jacob Murphy, but they couldn't hold on. Goals from Jared Braithwaite, Beto and Thierno Barry ensured the Toffees left Tyneside with 3 crucial points. It was a performance described as woeful, and honestly, that might be an understatement. Even when they had the chance to steal a point at the very end, luck was not on their side. Jordan Pickford, in a moment of sheer brilliance or perhaps just pure frustration for the home crowd, managed to tip a Sandro Tonali volley onto the crossbar in stoppage time. It was one of the saves of the season, and it perfectly encapsulated Newcastle's afternoon. Close, but ultimately a disaster. The questions are now piling up. Is the project stalling? Are the players losing faith? Today, we're breaking down the 5 things we learned from this dire loss and what it means for the future of the club. The atmosphere at the final whistle was toxic, a mix of disbelief and genuine anger from a fan base that expects so much more. The first thing we have to talk about is the defensive nightmare. Defensive woes simply cannot be ignored anymore. By Eddie Howe's own admission, Newcastle self-imploded on Saturday. It's one thing to lose a game of football, but it's another thing entirely to gift goals to your opponent within seconds of finding your way back into the match. Twice, the Magpies fought hard to get level, and twice they fell behind again within a minute. That's a lack of concentration that you simply cannot have at the Premier League level. Think about the first goal. Nick Pope, a goalkeeper we usually trust with our lives, somehow parried a harmless effort from Dwight McNeil straight into the path of Beto. It was a gift. Then, after Jacob Murphy made it 2-2, Anthony Gordon, the man who is usually our hero, gifted possession back to Everton less than 60 seconds later. Kieran de Hall took full advantage, rolling the ball to Barry, who bundled it home. These weren't tactical masterclasses from Everton, these were unforced errors from a Newcastle team that looks nervous and fragile. Since that win over Nottingham Forest on October 5th, this team has only kept 2 clean sheets. The rate at which Newcastle is shipping goals is alarming, and Eddie Howe knows it. He admitted that they have to reverse this trend quickly, but for many fans, there are genuine fears that the horse has already bolted. If you can't defend your own box, you can't compete for Europe. The lack of leadership at the back is becoming painfully obvious. Without a solid foundation, all the attacking talent in the world won't save this season. The fans are calling for changes, but with the current injury list and form, does Howe even have the options to fix this mess? It's a question that needs an answer immediately. Let's talk about the tactical side of things, because this is where the heat is really turning up on Eddie Howe. Before the match even started, the legendary Alan Shearer pointed out a massive issue. He said Newcastle looks a much better team with Anthony Gordon playing as central striker. Now, on the surface, that sounds like praise for Gordon, but in reality, it's a damning indictment of the club's recruitment. Newcastle paid a collective £124 million to sign Nick Woltemade and Johan Risa in the summer. £124 million, and yet here we are, playing a winger out of position because the specialists aren't doing the job. Against Everton, Gordon started up front again, and Woltemade was pushed into a midfield role where he looked haplessly lost for the entire first half. Joe Linton was equally ineffective out on the left wing. It was no coincidence that when all three players finally switched back to their natural positions around the 30-minute mark, Newcastle almost immediately scored an equaliser. Howe's tactical selection backfired spectacularly. Off the back of a positive run of results, it felt like the momentum was needlessly stunted by trying to be too clever with the lineup. And what about the German international forward? He hasn't scored in the Premier League since December. That's a staggering statistic for a player of his caliber. The fans are starting to wonder what exactly the plan is for the forward line. When you spend that kind of money, you expect immediate impact, not players who look lost in the manager's system. The disconnect between the recruitment strategy and the on-field execution is growing wider by the week, and it's threatening to swallow Newcastle's season whole. Perhaps the most painful part of this entire situation is what's happening to St James's Park. For so long, this stadium was a fortress. It was a place where visiting teams felt the pressure from the first whistle to the last. But after this weekend, that reputation is in tatters. The defeat to Everton was Newcastle's third successive home loss in the Premier League. This is the first under Eddie Howe's tenure, and it signals a worrying shift in the team's mentality. If you can't win at home, you have no chance of achieving your goals. In fact, the Magpies have now lost 5 of their last 6 matches overall. This isn't just a dip in form, it's a full-blown crisis. This run of results has left them in an unimaginable position in the Premier League table. Remember, at the start of the season, the goal was Champions League qualification. We wanted to be back among the elite, fighting the giants of Europe. Now, European hopes are drifting away as fast as we can track them. The defeat to Everton allowed David Moyes' side to move 4 points clear of Newcastle in 8th place. 8th place is likely the cutoff for the Europa Conference League, and even that is looking like a mountain too high to climb right now. We're not just talking about missing the Champions League, we're talking about missing out on European football altogether. Even worse, we're at risk of missing out on a top-half finish entirely. The intimidation factor of playing at Newcastle has evaporated, replaced by a sense of opportunity for every team that travels to Tyneside. If the fans lose that belief that St James's is a fortress, the uphill battle for Eddie Howe becomes almost impossible to climb. The current state of the Premier League table is a bitter pill to swallow. Newcastle United currently sits in 11th place. Let that sink in for a moment. They're 1 point below their rivals Sunderland. For the fans, that's simply unacceptable. This group of players is far too talented to be languishing in the bottom half of the table, looking up at their neighbours. The Everton record only adds salt to the wound. The Everton have now recorded successive wins at St James's Park for the first time in 12 years. It's a statistic that sums up the current issue perfectly. Everton, under David Moyes, have developed the second-best away record in the league since his appointment last year. They knew exactly how to play against us, and we fell right into their trap. Even when Sandro Tonali had that golden opportunity in stoppage time, the football gods seemed to be wearing blue. That save from Pickford was world-class, but we shouldn't have been in a position where we needed a miracle to get a draw at home against Everton. So, where do we go from here? The pressure is on the board and on Eddie Howe to find a solution before this season becomes a total write-off. Is it the tactics, is it the injuries, or is it a deeper issue with the squad's mentality? One thing is for sure, the Toon Army deserves better than this. The investment has been there, the support is always there, but the results are missing. Thank you so much for watching today's deep dive. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is it time for Howe to go, or do you still trust the process? If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on the Magpies. We'll be here through the highs and the lows. See you in the next one.